Well, I'm glad we approached this topic of solitude because
it's important.
right. And once you've experienced it, then as you said, you crave it, you want it, you protect it. But if you never take that time to stop and experience it, you're just going to go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And a lot of times it's avoiding, it's people avoid facing having to answer the questions of, why did this go wrong? What role did I play in it go wrong? So they just right away look for somebody else, or they're constantly scheduling themselves to be doing something else. But you have to step back and take that time to sit in solitude in order to heal. Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. Well, this is a very special milestone episode. It's the 50th episode. And when we first started, I was not sure we would even make it a year. But here we are, and I am so proud to say that thanks to our amazing guests, we are ranked in the top 10% globally among 3.5 million podcasts. So thank you to each one of you for being a loyal listener. Well, today we're going to talk about a common fear, and that is being alone. Solitude is generally perceived as bad. People desperately want to fill every minute of their lives with noise or other people. Yet, it is solitude where we can become the most powerful versions of ourselves. And I am so pleased that Pat Owens, a divorce care facilitator for more than 20 years, shares how living alone and being comfortable in solitude pushes us to discover strengths we never knew we had. This is the Silver Divorce Podcast, broadcast from the Whitfield Media Group studios in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Please follow this show and share it with people you know who are facing divorce. We are proudly brought to you by our title sponsor, the Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and show sponsor, Medicare Misty. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the area's leading provider of multi-specialty orthopedic care. Using innovative surgical techniques and technologies, our team of specialists deliver exceptional results backed by exceptional patient care. Learn more at sportmed.com. Medicare Misty is a real person who can help answer your Medicare questions. Get real help from her team at medicaremisty.com. And I'm your host, Lisa McCluskey, and now let's podcast. Welcome, Pat.
Well, I am so happy I can be here. And Lisa, I want to say hello out there to all you new and loyal listeners. And I do want to congratulate you, Lisa, on all your hard work on this Silver Divorce podcast. I have no doubt these podcasts will help others and give them direction and help in their life. And also, I am truly honored to be here on your 50th podcast.
Well, I am very pleased to have you here. We would not have gotten off the ground without you being my partner in those early days.
Thank you.
You're very instrumental. And it's always my favorite episode when you come and you're a guest with me.
Well, thank you for your sweet words.
Well, let's dive in and let's talk about solitude. When I found out that my husband was filing for divorce, my first thought was, oh no, I am going to be alone for the rest of my life. And that's a common fear, and it's so common that it actually keeps people in bad marriages. We'd rather put up with a bad relationship but be alone. But then think about how much mental energy we spend each day trying to keep the peace. What if we were free of that pressure? And what if we learned to be comfortable with solitude? Solitude can be profoundly restorative.
Lisa, that is so true. And I know in divorce care, we try to differentiate between loneliness and solitude. And I have to say, in my situation, the fear of being alone never really hit me very hard at first, because the fact was I was desperate to get out of a horrible relationship. I wanted to be free of all the drama and emotional and mental abuse I had been dealing with for years. And you could basically say I was alone and boxed in a bad marriage. And I had decided I'd rather be alone or lonely on my own. Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't fearful of the future and the consequences of my decision to leave the marriage, but that in itself took a lot of courage just to even make that decision to leave. And I think a lot of what helped me to process through all this was finding community in a good church and developing some solid relationships. Also, the divorce care program helped me tremendously to understand what I was going through and get direction in my life. And divorce care, it also touches on the subject of loneliness and solitude. It's discussed, yes.
Well, you hit on something that's very important, and that is that we can be in a marriage and still be alone.
Oh, yeah.
I just did an episode, number 46, on the silent divorce.
Yeah.
And, that's where people, they are living as roommates and they have separate activities. And essentially, you're in a marriage, but you're all alone anyway.
Right. That's essentially what happened to me for years. And plus putting up with the abuse, me and my daughter, both of us.
Yeah. So, even though we fear loneliness, we do have visions of becoming decrepit old people with only our dog to talk to.
Yeah.
I know that's what, and it hit me that my husband was filing for divorce. That's how I imagined myself, as sitting in a room all by myself with my dogs.
Yeah.
And, the most important thing is solitude does not mean isolation, but there are consequences to not managing our loneliness. If we don't manage our loneliness, there's some real consequences. And Pat, do you want to talk about some of those top 5 consequences?
Yeah, well, the first one, of course, is moral. And, it's sex and drugs. And people, they want to have that touch. They want to have that hug, and it can lead into sex. And with drugs, it's just something that makes you feel better and not really addressing the emotions and the issues that you're really dealing with. And financial, that's buying things to get that dopamine hit. I mean, it's a distraction. You're out there buying a lot of clothes, or you bought yourself a new car. That's not good. It's not good to make those kind of decisions initially when you're going through divorce. And physical, some people just kind of give up and abandon self-care. They get so down and depressed and lonely, and they just lack not taking care of themselves. And that's so important. You've got to eat right. You've got to get to the gym, get out and walk. You've got to do something to take care of yourself while you're going through all this. And even in relationships, self-isolating or becoming too needy, being addicted to having someone there with you, reaching for that phone, you're going to have to relook at all that. And, of course, there's the psychological part, being depressed and feelings of low self-worth. That's where you really might need to get some help and get a counselor.
Yeah, those are all very important. I wanted to step back. You talked about the moral part of it. And, there's a real danger that people can fall into, and this is more men than women, fall into becoming addicted to porn and watching porn because, they're not seeking any sort of companionship, or they feel so lonely, they end up turning to that. And I was reading today an article about ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT, you can have a companion. And these people are turning to these ChatGPT companions and having full-on conversations with them. And it can be very dangerous because what they've learned is ChatGPT wants to please you. And so it will parrot back a lot of your thoughts. And so you end up in these thought cycles that can be actually dangerous and worsen your feelings of loneliness as it's parroting back to you almost what you want to hear. And then I did want to mention the financial.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know a woman who fell into that. She was lonely, and so she was shopping. And before she knew it, she was sitting there with $20,000 worth of credit card debt because Amazon was coming almost every day. And her kids then were outraged and very upset with her because she started to need help paying her household bills. She didn't have enough money to pay her household bills and her credit card because she was substituting her loneliness by shopping, and wasn't really telling her kids, how she felt. She wasn't telling them that she was lonely, and they think everything's okay. They don't know what's going on. So I think you brought up some very important points in that. The other thing is when you talked about when they get into the addiction to having a relationship. Yeah. We get addicted to having someone in our lives, and sometimes that's not who is in our lives. We lower our standards for who is in our lives just to have somebody. And then that keeps us weak. And,
it does.
There are some signs that you should pay attention to that maybe you are addicted to the thought of love. You're addicted to the thought of having someone. So, Pat, can you talk about what some of those signs are?
Yeah, it's just seeking validation, as I had mentioned, from social media, reaching for that phone as soon as you wake up to see if your post gets likes and comments, being unable to go to a restaurant or a movie by yourself. If you don't have someone with you to go and hang out with you, you stay home. And you make decisions based on what your friends will think. This goes from what to where you get coffee, as an example. And being unable to sit in solitude for any length of time. I think this is a process. Also needing to have someone on the phone or texting, messaging, those type of things. And relation addiction takes away our power, takes away your power as we spend every waking moment seeking someone's approval. We become terrified of being alone. I actually know someone who, ever since their husband had passed away, they never have been very happy. They always have to have somebody or be taking care of somebody in the family or being felt like they were needed all the time. And they're miserable. They're not doing any self-care and drawing any boundaries. It's just it's a need thing for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. People who have to be needed, then they will complain that they never have any time to themselves.
Exactly.
But as you said, they're not setting the boundaries, so they have that time to themselves.
Right.
And, that's an easy trap to fall into when you have to be needed.
Right.
It's very challenging because that goes back to your seeking validation. And
right.
I want to talk about that validation from social media. And it is true how many of us literally lay in bed, reach over to the nightstand, grab that phone, and the first thing we do is check Facebook. And I, of late, have been trying to be very mindful of setting my phone down away from me. I actually am keeping it on a table far away from me so I don't reach for it. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you grab your phone and start, that's crazy.
I know.
Are we that addicted? So it really is a process to break yourself of needing that constant
it's a habit.
Validation.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
And Lisa, I'd like to mention something else too about being terrified of being alone. And this is where we need to process our loneliness and convert it into solitude. And it is a process. And I'd like for us to think about the word belonging. Belonging gives you a sense of acceptance, inclusion, and gets your identity back. We all have that need for community. And of course, we belong to a spouse or anybody in our family, but with solitude, you can begin to vision and see where you belong in life. Of course, like I said, you can belong to a partner or a spouse, but you can also belong to others and other groups. Like as mentioned, hobbies and interests. Solitude can help you think through where you belong and find yourself. It's a good time for reflection. And as for me, I belong to a monthly card playing group. I belong to a few senior bowling leagues, and I have some other interests in my life. But I also value solitude for rest to get my energy back. I know it's funny to say this, but sometimes I call solitude caving. And what I mean by that is I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be with myself and do what I want to do. But I'd like you to think about that word along with solitude, and that's belonging.
Yeah, I like that. Belonging is something that we struggle with after divorce because people go into that mode of identity crisis.
That's right.
Because they don't belong to anyone. And then if they recently retired, where typically, the first 2 years after retirement is considered the danger zone. And that's when people are most likely to divorce, is 2 years after retirement. So suddenly you find yourself, you're not belonging to a spouse. You're not belonging to a workplace. And that can really have you dive into a deep hole of not knowing who you are. And that's really where solitude can be a power play.
Exactly.
So I want us to really dive into that. It can be a secret weapon. It can change your life. But let's reiterate that solitude is not isolation.
Right.
We're not talking about cutting off the entire world and sitting in your home in isolation at all. So let's talk about what solitude can do for you. When you look for others to validate decisions, you're giving them the power over your life.
Exactly.
And then it does provide a quiet space for introspection. You can come to a deeper understanding of what happened in the past relationship, and then it can lead you to acceptance and healing.
Yes.
I like to think of solitude as having time to think.
Yes,
right?
Reflection.
It's really just sitting and having time to think quietly. And Pat, do you want to talk about hobbies? And
oh, yeah. I think a lot of people, when they really have to focus on themselves, it can almost sound selfish. And I think they have a hard time getting back to that because most of our lives, we're focused on our family, our job, our husband, everyday issues and problems, and you never think about yourself. And this is a good time to be selfish. You can immerse yourself in your hobbies. What have you always wanted to do? What were your interests? This is a great time to explore all that and find out who you really are and get your identity back.
Yeah, what have you set aside for your kids? What you set aside, maybe you thought you would enjoy doing, but your spouse wouldn't go for it.
Right.
Now is the time to really explore, what would I like to try?
Exactly. And, another thing that's big is you go find your emotions begin to regulate. You will not feel the symptoms of stress, the highs and lows of anxiety as you try to also live up to someone else's expectations, like in a marriage. And as you explore this solitude, you'll begin to feel calmer and at peace. This actually helps you to become more resilient as you're able to put things in perspective for yourself.
Yeah, as you are able to get comfortable with solitude, your brain actually becomes more free.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you'll find that your focus sharpens and you actually become more creative, because if you think of all the little stress beads hanging on your brain, as those start to go away, you're actually freer to think more clearly.
Yeah, and as for me, you'll become more deeply connected to your spiritual side. Like I had mentioned, after my divorce, I found another church, community. I developed some wonderful relationships, and it gives you an inner peace, and you get to begin to explore your beliefs and your purpose, and it can open up possibilities again for new interests and activities.
Got an injury that just can't wait? There's no need to delay your care. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is excited to announce that our Urgent Ortho Walk-In Clinic is now available on Saturdays at the Gun Barrel Road location. Open from 8 to noon, we're here to treat sprains, strains, fractures, and more. No appointment needed. So skip the long ER wait and get specialized orthopedic care fast. Visit us this Saturday at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics Urgent Ortho. We're the center for expert care right when you need it. Learn more at sportmed.com.
And then you'll begin to trust yourself again. And if you've been in a relationship where you're constantly belittled or constantly put down, you stop trusting yourself. You don't trust your decision making. You've been told over and over that perhaps you're stupid and you don't know what you're doing. But as you get more comfortable in solitude, gain that sense of inner peace, you'll start to be more comfortable in making decisions about things that benefit you.
That is so true. And like we've mentioned, it's a process. Give yourself time. Don't beat yourself up about it. There's no reason to be lonely. Not at all. Not after you develop your own confidence and your solitude.
So I know I'm sold on the need to be comfortable with solitude. So let's talk about where we begin, how we can start gradually. And as we said, we're not talking about locking yourself in your house and shutting off the outside world, but approach it as a personal choice. It's not something that's dictated by someone else. It's something that you're going to do for you. Let's talk about how we do that.
Well, I think for one, start disconnecting. You can let friends know you're taking a social media break, as hard as that may seem. Aim for a 5-day break, extend it to a 30-day break, and try to make a real difference. And you can also clear your calendar and reschedule appointments not connected to your work for a few days.
Yeah, I want to go back to that social media break.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever tried to wean yourself off sugar?
Yeah, I know.
It's like the first
I can't.
The first 48 hours are pure heck.
Yeah.
And you think you're never going to make it. It'll be the same way with the social media break. The first 48 hours are going to be the hardest because you're so accustomed to picking up that phone every few minutes. And I actually have a colleague who decided he was going to take a 30-day social media break.
That's huge.
Yeah, that was a big leap. And he announced it because he's he's on LinkedIn and he always posts these wonderfully thoughtful posts. He's a business coach. And he did. He took 30 days.
Wow.
And he spent time writing, reflecting, taking walks in nature. And he said the clarity he gained from that astounded him.
Wow.
That he knew he would gain more clarity, but it is almost taking his business in a whole new leveled up step forward. So it's those first 48 hours.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. But it's an addiction, really.
It is.
I mean, even with
Yeah.
children, people giving them phones and, they have a fit when you take it away from them.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yep. So I wanted to just mention that. And I think it would be great if you can clear your calendar as much as possible. You do have work appointments that you can't clear, but there's a lot of other things that you agree to. Just tell people, I'm taking a step back. I'm going to spend some time in reflection and solitude, and I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about getting away. Getting away doesn't mean you have to book a trip to Europe, but if you can, that would be great. It can be a walk in the park. It can be sit by the ocean, get out in nature. The most important part of that is you start to decompress.
Exactly. I know I did that years ago. I had a very stressful job, and I decided right Friday evening I took off and went to the mountains. Got myself a hotel room and just spent the whole weekend by myself. Went hiking, and oh my gosh, it was just so refreshing to do that. I needed that really bad.
Mm-hmm. It's rewiring our brain. But, you can take a book. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be simple. But the most important part, set the tone early in the phase of exploring solitude. Because we're not talking about sitting in a room and staring at the wall. We're talking about doing some things that lead to calm, lead to a sense of inner peace, lead to clarity in your thought process.
Right. And I think once you develop your solitude, you get very protective of it. I mean, you can't wait to get there and be by yourself and do your own thing and do some reflection and take some time out. You protect it. I know I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I try not to have every single day overscheduled,
Right.
to have days where you're just at home and you're doing something. Or I have days, you called it caving. I think that's excellent. I love that idea,
Yeah,
caving.
thanks.
I'm going to put it on my calendar, and this is going to be my day for caving.
That's it. And if you have a busy schedule and you've got a lot going on in your life, even if you can schedule 1 hour just to get by yourself and get your mind together, your thoughts together, you can build on that.
Mm-hmm. And it can be that you're just sitting in silence with a cup of your favorite tea.
Exactly.
Maybe it is, as you said, an hour, even 15 minutes. But what they have found is that short periods of solitude can be profoundly restorative. And that's what we're talking about here, is how you can restore your spirit, restore your soul, and bring peace to your mind.
It's a time to develop your own identity, as we've mentioned, and find your authentic self. It's a time to develop self-reliance and trust your own judgment, not somebody else's. And this will lead you to a new phase of your life.
Absolutely. And once you are in the habit of taking time for solitude,
Mm-hmm.
you will crave that.
Oh, yeah.
And it will become second nature to you. You won't even have to think about it, because you'll see how it is restorative and how it recharges your batteries.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Lisa.
Yeah. I think this is an important conversation coming out of divorce, when we are off kilter and we think that we need other people around us in order to heal. It's actually the opposite. You need to go inward, and you need to focus on how you can begin to restore and start to heal.
And see, that's like you said, that's where things are crazy. You've got divorced, you got all this emotional upheaval, you got circumstances, people you got to deal with. It's good to start for at least that 1 hour, even 30 minutes to start your solitude.
Yeah, the most important thing is just start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this has been a really good conversation, Pat. I do hope it helps people, because both you and I have seen the benefits of taking time to sit in solitude, taking that journey to restore your soul. And I know that you help a lot of people through
thank you.
divorce care. You've been a divorce care facilitator for 20 years.
Yes.
And that's a remarkable commitment to helping people get through the journey of divorce.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's something the Lord wants me to do right now, and I do have a passion for helping people. We both have been there. We know what that's like to have to deal with all those circumstances.
Yeah. So in all your years of working with people in divorce care, is there a person whose story particularly moved you?
Well, Lisa, in divorce care, there's a lot of crazy stories you hear for sure. One that comes to mind is where the wife threw all her husband's clothes out in the front yard and burned them. But I tell you what really moves me is the people that came through divorce care and how they processed through their hurt and pain and gave themselves time to heal and move on. They often reach out and let me know how they're doing and how thankful they are for divorce care. And they tell me how they've embraced their own identity and enjoy their own company and solitude now. And you know what? That really blesses me and makes my heart happy. And that's what really, really moves me.
Yeah, that's incredible. I can share that going through divorce care twice, I don't think I would have started on the healing journey as quickly as I did if I hadn't have done that.
Same for me, yes.
Yeah, your help was very instrumental. So it makes me happy that you're continuing that ministry.
Yeah.
So I always ask everybody this question: what book's on your bedside table?
Well, you might think I'm crazy right now, but besides keeping my Bible and devotional next to me, always within reach, one book I really find interesting right now is The Complete Guide to Crisis and Trauma by Norman Wright. To me, it's just actually very interesting. I know it kind of sounds heavy, but I'm hoping to get some takeaways and ideas to help others in divorce care. But I do enjoy reading other books and fiction.
Yeah, that sounds like a very interesting book.
It is.
So there's such a big attention now on how even childhood traumas that we may not even recall can affect our actions in later years.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so you're very inspiring to others, but who's inspiring you today?
Well, actually, the people that inspire me are my few close friends I have, as well as you, Lisa.
Oh.
You've heard the saying, you are who you surround yourself with,
Yep.
and that's true. These ladies are strong, professional people who have dealt with trauma and divorce in the past. They have worked through all those issues and rose above it all, and they embrace their power and their identity now, and they protect their solitude. I won't mention any names except you, Lisa, but they know who they are. I am so blessed to have these strong women in my life, and they inspire me every day.
And that's so important. The 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yep.
And you've surrounded yourself with strong women who've been through tough situations and embraced that you can have a fulfilling life after that.
Yeah, they're you all are kind of like mentors. You know, you look up to these persons and think, wow, look what they've been through and look who they are now
It's
and
amazing.
what they're doing.
Yeah, the human spirit is amazing.
Yeah.
What we can go through, and many of the people who've been guests on the podcast are people who've been through very traumatic divorces and experiences, and they go on to help other people.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to the power of the human spirit. Well, I am so glad you joined me today for this 50th episode. It is very important to me that you were here to celebrate this milestone.
Thank you, Lisa. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. And I want to make sure that we touch on divorce care because it has helped so many people. You've helped so many people. Would you share with our listeners how they can learn more about divorce care and how they can join a group?
Absolutely, yes. What you need to do is go to divorcecare.com on your phone or computer, and once you bring that up, all you have to do is put in your zip code, and then there'll be a list of churches who sponsor the program with upcoming dates. I highly recommend it for anyone going through divorce. And they do touch on the topic of loneliness and solitude and many other issues.
Okay, so make sure you go to divorcecare.org, enter your zip, and find a location near you. And even though there might be a session that's already started, many of them just allow you to join at any time. It doesn't matter. And you can go more than once. It's very low cost. I paid $20 for my workbook.
Right.
Most of them are in that price range.
And they do offer scholarships as well. But I'd like to make a correction. That is divorcecare.org.
Right. Okay. Yes, and you can get a scholarship if you find that even that's a hardship on you to come up with the funds for the workbook.
Yes.
But highly encourage it. It will help you on your journey toward healing.
And hey, everybody out there, work on your solitude. You'll get to where you really embrace it and protect it.
Absolutely. Solitude is a wonderful gift that you give yourself.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Please join me on the next episode of the Silver Divorce Podcast. I also ask you to do me a favor and please follow this show and share it with people you know who are going through divorce. I'd love to hear from you at silverdivorcepodcast@gmail.com. This podcast is brought to you by our title sponsor, the Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and show sponsor, Medicare Misty. Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the area's leading provider of multi-specialty orthopedic care. Using innovative surgical techniques and technologies, our team of specialists deliver exceptional results backed by exceptional patient care. Learn more at sportmed.com. Medicare Misty is a real person who can help answer your Medicare questions. Get real help from her team at medicaremisty.com. Whether you are considering divorce or maybe you're newly in the divorce process, we'll help you on your journey and tell you things your attorney might not tell you. Until next time, remember, divorce, it's just one event. It does not define who you are. I'm Lisa, and I'll see you next time.